And now we begin with tonight's program. You've met the gubernatorial candidates. We are going in alphabetical order, and so we will turn to the Mayor of Danbury, Mark Boughton, for his opening statement. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me now? Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. My name is Mayor Mark Boughton. I'm from the city of Danbury. Just give you a quick sort of overview of who I am, talk about some issues I think that are important in the state, and then I'll pass the baton, if you will. I was born and raised in the city of Danbury. I was educated at Danbury Public Schools. I graduated from Central Connecticut State University with a Bachelor of Science degree in education, and I graduated from Western Connecticut State University with a master's degree in education. While I was in college, I joined the United States Army Reserve to pay for college, and I have to tell you that there was nothing more proud for me than to wear the uniform of the Army of the United States of America. It helped pay for my schooling, and once I graduated, I began my teaching career at Danbury High School in Danbury, Connecticut. Taught there for 14 years and then moved on to the state legislature. I was elected in 1998. I was re-elected in 2000. And I ran for mayor in Danbury in 2001. I served over the last 5 terms, almost 9 years, almost 10 years now, as mayor of that city. And when I got elected as mayor in Danbury, in a city that's about 3-to-1 D to R, Democrat to Republican, we had 17 Democrats on our local council and 4 Republicans. The second year when I ran, in 2003, for my second term, we had 17 Republicans and 4 Democrats. And I tell you that for a reason, and the reason is that we need to make sure that we get people like Kevin Wickos reelected to the state Senate. And we need to make sure that we get more representatives in the House of Representatives to help push any agenda, any thoughts or ideas that any one of us have here tonight. It's nice to have great ideas, without a team behind you, you can't do it. Folks, I'm a teacher, so the 3 R's are familiar to me. And I'm running on some very simple principles. The first one is that we need to revitalize our economic development strategy in this state. It is too confusing, it's too diffused, and frankly doesn't do the job. If it did do the jobs, we'd have jobs. And folks, we don't need jobs 5 years from now, we need jobs now. Our residents need jobs now, and they're hurting, and we need to develop a strategy that works. Secondly, we need to redesign our state government. The fact of the matter is it's a little weird that the largest employer in the state of Connecticut is the state of Connecticut with 55,000 employees. Just doesn't seem to make a heck of a lot of sense. Secondly, we need to think about how we treat our residents. I want to ask you a question out here tonight. I want you to raise your hand. How many folks out there have dealt with the DOT? Raise your hand if you have DOT. State Traffic Commission, DEP, Department of Public Health. How about the DMV? You like that? Was that a good experience for you as it was for me? Did you want to go back and do business there again? Absolutely not. So part of what we need to do is bring culture change to our departments. Too often it feels like we're working for Connecticut instead of Connecticut working for us. Now let me tell you something. When I get done being governor, we're going to reduce the size of our workforce. And we're going to do that first. But we're not going to ask for another nickel, not another tax, not any kind of fee until we address the size and scope of our state government. It's too big, it's become unmanageable. Thirdly, we need to rethink the future here of our government in Connecticut. We need to look at what does the state government do? And what does your local government do? How do those two connect? And how can we better deliver services by things like regionalization, sharing services, and a whole bunch of other things. Ladies and gentlemen, I recognize a lot of you don't know me, and I'm going to pass the baton now, but the next time you're heading down 84, and you're between exits 1 and 8, I want you to slow down a little bit, but don't get a ticket. And I want you to pause for a second and think about this. You're driving through one of the safest cities in America and the safest city in the state of Connecticut. You're driving through a city with one of the lowest effective property tax rates in the state of Connecticut. You're driving through a city with the lowest sewer and water rates in the state of Connecticut. And finally, you're driving through a city with the lowest unemployment rate in the state of Connecticut. Our folks work, and we keep them working. The issue in this race is the middle class. It's you. It's not about me. It's not about anybody else here. And we're going to make sure that we return this government back to you. And if I sound angry, it's because I am angry. I'm tired of it, and I'm tired of runaway spending and runaway growth, and we're going to solve this problem together. Thank you very much. God bless America. It's a great country.
And now the first of our 2 questions. and our candidates will each have 2 minutes to answer. We hear a lot that health care is a big drain on our state budget. Do you believe that the state government, sustenance, was passed last year, do you believe it is the right vehicle to deliver health care to state citizens and is cost effective? When we give it to you.
Look, I think that all of us want some kind of health care reform. There's no question that we have a system that has a lot of challenges, a lot of problems. Albeit, we also have a system that's probably one of the best in the world, as bad as we beat up on. The problem with subsidies, again, really comes down to cost, and really comes down to, is this really a foot in the door towards a single-payer system in the state of Connecticut? And I believe it is. I think that's one of the reasons why the governor was opposed to it. The fact of the matter is, it just represents another entitlement program that we're going to have to provide to people that we can't afford right now. And that's, it's a tough thing to say, but the fact of the matter is we have to have a government we can afford, not necessarily a government that provides utopia for everyone. In the future, down the line, healthcare has to be part of a larger, more global discussion about, here in the state of Connecticut in particular, and its costs and controlling costs. But in the short term, until we get our budget under control, and until we get our legacy costs for healthcare, which is another issue, but there's a $24 billion time bomb out there of retiree medical costs that we have to figure out how to fund, it's going to be awful hard for us to cover more people or carve more people into coverage and stick that bill to the working men and women of the state. So I think we have to be careful about ruling out new entitlement programs. Subsidy is just another entitlement program that we won't be able to afford. We'll end up being bankrupt, and you out there in the audience will have to pay the tab for it.
We hear a lot on our talk show in the afternoon on the Talk of Connecticut, callers calling the program, saying in the morning on the Brad Davis broadcast, it's okay when a candidate talks about reducing taxes or reducing the size of government, but what are the specifics? So, to that end, that is our second and final question to our candidates tonight.
When I started this discussion today, I talked a little bit about the culture of our state departments and how we interact with the public. And what you heard here tonight, and I agree with all the above, everything everybody said over here, all those things have to be done. All those issues have to be addressed in order to reduce our expenditures. But the other thing that we need to do is to bring and identify the exact expenditures that you want to lower. We have to bring a different culture to the management of our departments. So how do you do that? Well, as the next governor of this state, I'm going to implement a system called StateStat. What StateStat specializes in doing is collecting data. You can't make decisions about cutting $1 billion or $2 billion or $5 billion unless you understand the data that's collected and how the money is spent. Every 2 weeks in my administration, key department heads will be standing in front of myself and my team of administrators, explaining every single expenditure they made for the last 2 weeks, identifying how they spent that money, where they spent it, whether there's overages or underage in their allotment of dollars for that year, so that we can take a better look and have better analysis and data of how our money is allocated and where it's spent. So, the old adage that we've heard out here on the campaign trail is that, a department will order 100 pencils every year because they order 100 pencils every year, and then the next year they get 110 pencils. But nobody asks them, how many pencils are you really using? And so by having people held accountable every 2 weeks for their expenditures, their employees, their projects, their goals, their outcomes, we can be better able to identify where those dollars are going, how we spend it, and then we can lower costs. And incidentally, I'm going to put those meetings on CTN. You're going to be able to watch your department heads that you pay for answer very difficult questions about the operations of their budgets, and certainly be able to identify savings in each of those departments, and so that overall we can bring down our deficit.
Mayor Boughton, Governor Fideli, Ambassador Foley, and Oscar Evil, we thank you very much tonight.